So my name is Onnie Michalsky. I'm a wellness coach, and I'm a wellness coach for women. I work with women to overcome the barriers, both the mental and the physical and the emotional barriers that are keeping them from becoming the best, healthiest version of themselves. Today we're going to talk about self-care, what it is, why it's important, and we're going to talk about those excuses of what's keeping you from practicing self-care. Now, some of you know my own journey of, well, it started 43 years ago, but, my more recent journey where I had committed to, just taking better care of myself. And when I did that, I was able to lose weight, improve my health. Now I eat better and I love exercise and getting outside, things that I never used to love. But when I talk about the excuses or those thinking errors that we all have as moms, I think back most on, and this had nothing really even to do with exercise or losing weight or anything. But when we moved to Montana 12 years ago, I remember being on the phone with my friend, and my mother-in-law had offered to take my kids for the weekend. And at that point, we had 4 kids. I had to think back. We had 4 kids. I was pregnant with our 5th. And I remember crying on the phone to my best friend and telling her like how my mother-in-law was she wanted to take the kids. And in my mind, that scared the heck out of me because I felt like these were my kids, like it was my responsibility to take care of them. I felt like things were going to fall apart if it wasn't me that was rescuing them, or like coming to their rescue and getting them everything they needed. And when my mother-in-law was so forceful and was like, I'm going to take the kids, I felt like crushed. I felt like, what? You know what? Let me silence this so it's not beeping. But I felt like I had to relinquish some control, and that was very, very scary for me. And my best friend, she was like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, let her take them. She had to talk sense into me and convince me that it was going to be okay for my kids to go with my mother-in-law. Now, fast forward a few days, my kids ended up going with her, and it was the most amazing experience just for the fact that I had never had a moment like, I was always the one to take care of my kids. And so I've always had like maybe 1 or 2, sleep over my mom's house. But to have that moment to myself, I have to admit, like the first few hours, I was like, what do I do? I didn't even know what to do. I was so lost at being able to have this like time available to be able to do whatever the heck I wanted. And I was so lost as to what I was going to do at that time that I was almost in like a, like a coma, I was at a loss as to what I was going to do with this time that I had completely on my own. And I think that was the first time that I realized like how important it is to have that time. And even, that wasn't the end of it. It wasn't like after that I was like, oh, take them every weekend, because I definitely wasn't. It is my responsibility to take care of my kids, and I still feel that. But I also have come over those past 12 years, and it was a struggle, to be able to come to the realization that it's okay to take care of my own needs. It's okay to have that me time, that it's not meaning that I'm selfish. It's not meaning that I, am bucking my responsibility or, what have you. It's actually, it was such a good thing because it allowed me to fill up my own bucket. And when my kids came back, I was like ready to, I was ready to face the world again. I felt rejuvenated. I felt alive again. And I was like looking forward to their return, even though the time away, like I don't even remember what I did that weekend. I probably, read. I love reading. So I probably read, maybe worked on a project or 2. But it was really that time that it allowed me to kind of reconnect with myself. And without, kind of taking off that role of mom, that we kind of get stuck behind, and putting back on my role as like a woman, a person. And so that weekend was really like a turning point in my life. So I need to take a drink of water. But all right, so what is self-care? A lot of women, when I ask this question, they say, I do take care of myself. And when I dig deeper, that usually means that they brush their teeth, they get dressed, they brush their hair, they eat breakfast, and maybe they even eat healthy foods. And so in a sense, they do take care of themselves. But what I'm talking about here, when I say self-care, we're talking about the whole package. We're talking about taking care of those physical, mental, emotional, spiritual needs that tend to get lost. They get, pushed down on the to-do list. And so it's taking care of all of these, the social, the mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual needs, all together in a package, and finding that balance between, being productive and having that downtime. And during that downtime is when you refill your bucket, or, kind of rejuvenate, reset, and prepare yourself for the stresses of life, because life is stressful, whether it's the first week of school or not. Life is going to be stressed. We can't do away with stress. It's a part of life. But we can equip ourselves to be better able to deal with those stresses that life throws at us. And the more practice we get, the more we're able to, bring it on and successfully cope with it or deal with it. So self-care is super important because it gives us that opportunity to reset, to rejuvenate. It's almost like a break for the mind. And whether you spend 20 minutes practicing self-care each day or 3 hours, whatever time you can make for yourself. You're never going to find time for self-care. You have to make the time for self-care. But whatever time, that's like a vacation for the mind. And when you get back from vacation, it's like back to reality, back to life. But you can do that just mentally and prepare yourself and refill that bucket. And how like when if you're taking a relaxing vacation, I'm not talking about a vacation where you're going a gazillion different places during your vacation, sightseeing and everything, but an actual vacation that you allow yourself to rest, break from the world, break from work. Well, you can do that in as few as like 5-10 minutes each day, taking care of those needs that I was talking about. So I already talked about one of the mental barriers, or one of the thinking errors I had when it came to self-care, and that is, that the world was going to fall apart if I wasn't the one responsible for it, and that even happened. I remember, I was going to say how many years ago, I think maybe it was 7-8 years ago, when I first started doing Zumba. And my friend had told me about this class. Another friend was teaching it, and we were supposed to go together to the class. And I remember her asking me countless times, like, come on, let's go tonight, let's go tonight. And I always had an excuse. It was like, no, it's right during dinner time. No, I have to get dinner on. No, I have to take care of the kids. No, that's when, my husband's getting home from work. It was like always these excuses that came up, until one day I felt like the stars lined up. But it just so happened that I had put a crock-pot meal on. The kids were calm. They were preoccupied. Maybe, I forget if my husband came home early. Like, whatever it was, I was like, I can go. She came to the door and she's like, let's go to this Zumba class. And from that night on, eventually, within the first few months of me doing Zumba, I liked it so much, I made time for that activity. It was just, kicking my butt, trying to get me out the door to go. But once I discovered how fun it was, that was when I was motivated to actually make the time to go. And from then on, I was able to, eventually, within that first few months, I became a Zumba instructor. I went from not even having the time or wanting to make the time to go to completely changing my whole schedule so that I could go. Because the thing is I hear often women say, you know, I don't have time to do this, or I don't have time to take care of myself, or, you know, the time excuse is huge. But the thing is we make time for what we want. We are in charge. We're masters of our own schedule. And yes, there's things that, you know, we have to do, but you are in charge of that schedule. There's plenty of times in that schedule, whether you delegate stuff, you eliminate stuff, you know, you find out what is important to you and you make time for that. And for some, that may mean sitting back and watching Netflix. You may have to cut that down a little bit in order to actually fill your mind with good stuff, you know, take care of your mind and meeting those mental and emotional needs. So I got lost here. So the I don't have time excuse, you know, schedule yourself in. This is important because if you're looking at your schedule and you're saying like, I don't have time, schedule, you are important. You are the most important thing in your life. And yes, you have family. Yes, you have kids. But without you, you know, you have to take care of you because nobody else will. So it's important to schedule time for yourself. This might mean opening up your planner and blocking off 30 minutes and treating it like as if it's a doctor's appointment. This is like writing it in pen, not even in pencil, writing it in pen and saying, on Tuesday from 12 to 12:30, this is going to be my time. And what you do with that time, it's up to you, but you are in control of that 30 minutes. And make it a priority, and you'll see it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or it'll be like positive reinforcement is what I mean. Like you will, once you start doing it, you'll realize how that fills you up and you'll want to do it more. You'll want to, you know, make sure that it's part of your routine each day in order, because you'll feel rejuvenated. You'll feel like it's a resetting and a filling up of your bucket. So that I have time excuse, don't let that determine whether or not you can take care of your needs. That unrealistic expectations, these are the shoulds. And just like I said, you know, I thought the world was going to fall apart. I had these expectations in my mind that I held myself to the standard, like to be a good mom, I had to get my kid everything they want, or, you know, to be a good wife, I have to have dinner on the table at 6 o'clock every night. To be a good daughter, I have to ... You fill it in. What are these expectations that you're holding on yourself? And see, you know, there's plenty of moms that are, you know, killing it that don't have dinner on the table at 6 p.m. every night. That there's plenty of wives that don't do whatever it is that you're expecting yourself to do, that have like awesome relationships with their spouse. So take some time to identify what are the expectations that you're holding about yourself or about what it means to be in the role that you are in, and how is that dictating your self-care. Another one I have is, sorry, I have my notes behind the camera. If I leave my family, okay, so that excuse that if I leave my family, all hell will break loose, that is complete catastrophizing. Yes, you may need to clean. I mean, my goodness, I know this. When I leave the house, I know that all hell will break loose. This is not a thinking error. This is really what will happen. But it's really not as bad as I think. You know, I come home, I clean up a little bit, I reiterate to the kids, you know, I wish that you would put the dishes in the dishwasher when you're done eating. You know, I may have to wipe the counter. You know, it just happens. But to me, it's worth getting out of the house. But if I put things in perspective, if I know it's, you know, the kids are still alive, the house is still standing, I'm able to give myself permission to step out of my role and go take care of what it is that I need to take care of, instead of jumping to conclusions that the whole world's going to fall apart if I take a break for a minute, if I take that mental vacation that I'm talking about. Another one I hear is, I feel tired, therefore I must be tired. I've said it myself. This is complete emotional reasoning. Let's look at the evidence here. How much sleep did you get the night before? Are you really tired, or is it just that you've depleted your energy and you need that rejuvenation? So, which self-care can provide. And so if you find yourself making that excuse, I feel tired, then I must be tired, start looking at that evidence and seeing, is it really that you're tired? Or maybe you can commit to just 10 minutes of doing something and seeing if indeed you're tired, or if you just needed that rejuvenation. So just saying, playing those mind tricks with yourself, saying, I'll just do it for 10 minutes. Usually you'll find that you can continue going once you start whatever it is you enjoy for that first 10 minutes. So self-care can look different for everybody. It's going to look different for me than you. There's activities. Self-care is completely personal. And a lot of when you hear self-care, perhaps you think of, maybe you think of brushing your teeth and brushing your hair and taking care of washing your clothes, But like I said, we're talking about more the emotional and the mental and the social needs. So you may think of meditation and yoga and, those kind of activities. And yes, maybe that is self-care for you if you enjoy it. Because self-care should not be something you force yourself to do. Now, I know what you're going to say. It's, I did have to force myself to take care of myself. But it should be something. If I didn't enjoy Zumba, I would not have continued it. I may have given up completely, or I may have tried something else down the road. I don't know. But it's important to find what activities you enjoy doing. This could be, taking a bubble bath, reading a book, chatting with friends, going for a walk, sitting in nature, going swimming, hiking. It could be a physical activity. It could be something that you just do, like a hobby. It could be putting together model airplanes. Whatever it is that refills your bucket and rejuvenates you and gives you pleasure, that's going to be your self-care activities. So take a moment and make a list of maybe 5 things that you can do to be able to take care of those mental and emotional needs that maybe you can start incorporating into your day. Remember, scheduling that time for yourself can help you start incorporating these activities that you've listed into your day. You make the time to be able to do that and to take that mental vacation. So I always think of, look at the excuses you're making, and does it involve other people? Is it deeper? Is it where you have this need to be are you a people pleaser? And maybe reassessing who, like I said before, who is going to take care of you? That was a trick question. You're going to take care of you. You have to see, who are you pleasing by these excuses that you're making? And kind of shifting your perspective, identifying what is that mental block, or how is your thinking erred, and fixing that, challenging those thoughts that you're having in order to move out of them and do something different. So I used to think self-care was selfish, spending me time, and it deflected from my role as a mom or as a wife or as a daughter. I used to be in that same mindset that you may be in now, that self-care is selfish. But I now compare it to when you're on an airplane and the flight attendant gives you that whole instruction about putting on your own mask before you help someone else. And when it comes to self-care, I think this is a perfect example, because if you are passed out, you are of no help to somebody or to anybody else. If you are totally depleted, then you're not going to be able to save someone else's life, or you're not going to be able to even help anybody. So it is super important to be able to help yourself first. Put on your mask, get the oxygen you need, aka from self-care, and get yourself set up so that you can help and you can be a better, wife or daughter or friend, because you've taken care of yourself. I can guarantee I am 100% better at being a wife, daughter, mom, friend, sister, because I prioritize my self-care, and I make sure that when I'm feeling stressed and when I'm feeling like the world is crushing it, when I'm starting virtual, remote learning with my kids and ready to throw the computers across the room, that's a sign to me, like, when's the last time that I took a moment to be by myself and to take care of those needs that, so that I can come from a place of calmness and with a full bucket or with my mask on to be able to better serve those around me. So self-care is the opposite of being selfish, because you're refilling your own bucket so that you can be there for both yourself and for those around you that you love. So if you are interested in working one-on-one with me, I offer a free consultation, and this is I call it a kickstart call, but we really dive into, it gives us an opportunity for you to get to know me, for me to get to know your biggest struggles. What are those mental barriers keeping you from being able to take care of yourself, improve your health, just to become the healthiest version of yourself? What's keeping you from taking that journey to your goals? So I will put the link to that under this video. I invite you to reach on out, give me a call, let me know where you're at, and if you have any questions about this, definitely put it in the comments below. Let me know. I would love to get to know you some and to help you on your journey to health.